Good morning. My name is Mark, and I'm the podium assistant today. And again, thank you for that wonderful music, Dave. And I would like to start with the opening statement. There is only one power and one presence in the universe, God the good, all power, ever present, all knowing, and we are one. And our vision statement. We are a spiritual community with a passion to share love, faith, and hope. And lastly, but never least, our mission statement. We are an accepting, loving, and faith-filled community that honors all paths to God. Announcements. Any announcements from the Zoom tribe? And feel free to unmute yourself.
Just that there will be a board meeting on Zoom this afternoon Do you want to say something about the Zoom call during the week,
Um,
Wednesday?
we are kind of restructuring or asking some questions on the purpose and the identity of the Zoom meeting on Wednesday. And a little bit uncomfortable, but we're able to draw out some wonderful things that help create a shared understanding for everyone. And so we'll be creating, maybe talking about that a little bit next Wednesday. Um, but it seems to me that it will be a spirit-led meeting. So the next item on the list, on my agenda, is the mini lesson on the 12 powers. And Sandra DeMond will be introducing that, and I'm going to spotlight her now.
Thank you, Mark. We are continuing with the 12 powers lessons. The 12 powers as written by or brought forth by Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity. And there is a power of the 12 powers, there is a power assigned to each month. And of course, for February, we have been discussing strength. And the second of the powers, it is associated with the disciple Andrew, and it is located in the body. The center is located in the small of the back. And I think many of us probably identify with that location for strength. If we're feeling a lack of strength, sometimes it comes out as a feeling of achiness or downright pain in the small of the back. And sometimes this is an indication, I have found, to look at this issue of strength and where does it come from. And I've got some interesting sources today to share with you. Um, first of all, this is from Charles Fillmore's book, The 12 Powers of Man. And he talks about strength, stability, and steadfastness as the title of the chapter on strength. And he says the strength here discussed is not physical strength alone, but mental and spiritual strength. All strength originates in spirit, and the thought and the word, spiritually expressed, bring the manifestation. And he quotes, the name of Jehovah is a strong tower. We grow to be like that which we idealize, affirming or naming a mighty spiritual presence, affirming or naming a mighty spiritual principle identifies the mind with that principle, then all that the principle stands for in the realm of ideas is poured out upon the one who affirms. And as is often the case, I find that sometimes it's Saturday night, sometimes even Sunday morning, before I know exactly what tack I'm going to take on each of these powers to give these mini lessons. Well, last night I received, this is a channeled message that Blossom Goodchild is one of the people that I follow. I'm on the list. I'm notified each week when she does channeled messages from what she has termed the Federation of Light. And I always look forward to them. They're usually quite uplifting, and they're talking about the upcoming events in our world, not specific events, but the reactions, the responses that we are going to be required as light workers, which I consider all of us listening to this service, light workers. And what is going to be expected of us and the encouragement through these messages that it's all within us, that we are prepared, even though we're feeling impatient to get on with it and not quite sure what our role is going to be. And it was interesting last night, the message came through. It's fairly typical of the messages that come through, except that it was interesting to me that there was an emphasis on strength, and it mentions strength quite often. So I have highlighted some of the things, some of the quotes from this channeled message that I feel are really relevant to this discussion of strength, where it comes from and what it consists of. It, of course, is talking about what is to come in our lives. And there's this sense that has been building that things are probably going to feel or appear worse than they have been before we see things beginning to get better. First, we would say that all that is to come is nothing that you are unable to handle. For inside each one is a mechanism that triggers strength when needed and necessary. And Blossom, in response, asks, mechanism? And they say this is the way we would choose to describe it. It has been known throughout your history of incredible strength coming from within when one is faced with situations where strength and courage are required. Remember this. Let us speak of strength, if we may. What is strength? It can be interpreted easily from a physical perspective. One can lift, one can endure enormous displays of physical strength. Yet, in order to do so, it is required for much training in order for the body to be prepared, perhaps when preparing for a marathon, etc. Much work has taken place beforehand, has it not? It is the same for the inner strength, strength of being. You have all been preparing yourselves for this time. Even when you feel depleted with the waiting, you are still shining your light. And that light is your preparation workout, if you like. You've not been idle, for you have been sending love and doing all that is required of you throughout these times. And those of high positions are exalted by the strength that continues to flow from you. So then, as these days progress, although feeling tired and lethargic, and I identify with that, when it is time, you will know a strength from within shall be presented without. You will continuously ask for strength and guidance, and you shall continually find all the recourse required opening up inside of you. Everything you need is inside you now. And Blossom asks, it just needs to be reawakened, right? And the response is no, it is already awake. It is waiting for its assignments. The strongest of the strong. Remember, remember, remember. And Blossom asks, will we need to remember? Will we not just feel it in the times ahead? And the answer comes, indeed. Yet this work that is to begin on a far greater level of understanding than your present time will require all that you are to shine in order to see your mission through. Be kind to yourselves. Nurture yourselves. Recharge your batteries. For although you will know that you are doing what you came here to do, there will be so much demand that one can easily become depleted. So it is of great importance to look after yourselves first and foremost in order to have the continued strength to serve others who shall very much be in need of your knowledge and your love. And again, I'm reminded that this is not a power that works on its own. It works with the other 11 powers. They work as a unit. And so the love and the shining of the light and the wisdom, the discernment, the faith, all of the powers come into action here. But I thought it was particularly important. We will know what we are to do. We will find the strength within to do what we are to do, even though at this time I identify with the lethargic and the uh, the lack of energy sometimes. Just knowing that take care of ourselves, be kind to ourselves, and just know that the strength within will come forth as it is needed. And that we affirm that and continue to know it is with us all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. That was awesome. And I love the idea that we are all light workers. And I really enjoyed hearing kindness to ourselves. That's the second time this week that I heard that. And took some time last night to be kind to myself and meditate, listen to some nice music, and actually gave myself some acupuncture, which was very refreshing. So thank you for that message. Abundance is love, and it comes from everywhere. It comes through our many gifts, which are part of us and comes from within us. And it's just not the monetary gifts, it's the talents that we share. Um, it's the gift of a smile. It's the gifts of divine love flowing through us. And every act of kindness, including kindness to yourself, is a wonderful gift. So let us honor all gifts today by saying, divine love, through me, blessed and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. Thank you for all the infinite ways love is shared through us, through our gifts. Not only do our gifts uplift ourselves, but they lift up everyone and the whole of itself, which is everyone, flowing through us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would like to introduce our speaker today, and then we will go into the Lord's Prayer, and then she will go into the meditation, and then into her lesson. Her name is Pat Green. She's been with Unity for about 20 years, but before that, she spent about 20 years church shopping. And when she first came into this church, even before she ate the free Unity cookies, she realized that this was her home, that Unity was her home. She also has a wonderful sense of humor. For instance, she stopped having birthdays when she was 37 years old, and her last birthday was about a year ago. She taught YOU, and for several years was on the board, and continues to support the community, the Unity community, in many ways. She is also interested in studying Aramaic language, the Aramaic language, which is the original language that Jesus spoke. And the other day, she said something very wise to me. Do not fret about the past. You cannot go back to fix the past or correct past mistakes. Just learn from them and let the past go. Let it all lay in the past and live life now. So with that, I would like to introduce Pat, our speaker, and now we are going to go into the Our Father.
And now I would invite you to come into a time of meditation, a time of quietness. So become aware of your body, become aware of where you're sitting, become aware of your shoulders being relaxed, become aware of a sense of peace as you go within. And taking in a breath, feel yourself going within, deeper and deeper within. This morning, let's meditate. Let's think about the meaning of strength. Where is our strength? Where does it come from? And we know it comes from within. So as you feel your body getting more and more relaxed, your mind's relaxed, think of the words, the light of God surrounds you. See that very crystal clear light that just swirls around you, showing you truth, illuminating truth. As you take another breath, go deeper inside. The love of God enfolds you. Feel that embrace, that comfort, the security, the trust, the peace of being enfolded in God's love. And going deeper still, take another breath and go into the very core of your being. The power of God protects you. Here you can hear the silent vibration of power, of strength. This is your very core. Jesus told us that your body is a temple. And the word he used was haikla. And that means you are the embodiment of the essential life energy. You are the embodiment of essential life energy. Rest in that knowing, that awareness of that power. Even though it is silent, it is very strong. It is life itself. So we will go back to feeling the love. Let's go back to seeing the light of truth. And now, the presence of God watches over you. Be aware of that invisible shield that surrounds you, that protects you. That is your strength. And when you're ready, become aware of your surroundings. Maybe move your fingers, move your toes. Hear the sound outside you. Be aware of the room you're in. Be aware of the sights. You're here in this place and in this time. And we will bring back all of our knowledge and all of our awareness of strength. When Sandra started doing these mini lessons on strength, I found myself all month long thinking, what does that mean? What does strength look like? What does strength feel like? Beyond just the knowledge of that. And, when you ask the universe a question, you're going to get an answer. And a week or so ago, I was listening to a YouTube of Carolyn Mace, and she's, since the COVID, she's been kind of giving these little insights and reflections from her home office about how all of this is affecting us. And she said, and she talked about the chaos that we're living in, the chaos and the confusion and all the uncertainty and how that's affecting us, how the whole world is being affected by us. And then she said, in this chaos, we lose our power. I thought, oh my gosh, how do we lose our power? It's got to be through chaos. And as I thought about this, I suddenly remembered a book that I read about 45 years ago. I remember reading this book. It was by Watchman Nee, who is a Chinese Christian author. And he was trying to describe our strength being in the Lord and what it means for our strength to be in the Lord. And he gave this example from his own life. As I said, he is a man from China. And he said, during the war, the Japanese invaded China. And even though China is a much larger country than Japan, Japan was militarily superior. They had tanks. And they rolled through the countryside with their tanks. And all the Chinese had were rifles, which were obviously very, totally useless against a tank. There was no way they could stop these soldiers in their protection of their armored tanks. But they came up with a plan that would maybe change that balance of power. Chinese men with their rifles would place themselves in strategic spots, and they kept taking pot shots at the tanks as they would come by. Just random pot shots, which obviously had no effect whatsoever on the tanks. And the men inside were totally safe. But you know what? At some point, it began to bug them. At some point, inevitably, invariably, they had to figure out what's going on out there. What's all this chaos? What's all this commotion? What's about? I have to go out and investigate it. We have to figure out where it's coming from. We have to do something about it. Well, so they left the security of their tanks, forgot their mission that they were on. And at some point, sooner or later, the hatch would open and out would pop somebody's head. And that soldier who was totally safe in his tank was, he was picked off by the rifle that had no real power against the tank. And so that's how Watchman Nee kind of described that whole idea of what it means to be safe in the Lord, what it means to be going within and to be protected. And so I guess that, to me is a good image of what that means. And I guess it sounds a little counterintuitive to be talking about military strategies to talk about a spiritual principle. But when you think about it, I read someplace that the prayer of protection that Dillard Freeman wrote was a request for a prayer for soldiers. So I guess I just would leave this question out, how is chaos affecting you? How is confusing affecting you? And how are we tempted to get out of our protection? How do we lose our strength in this time when, as the things as Sandra was saying, we have a mission, we're supposed to be doing something. Let's keep from being distracted by irrelevant things. And I would just love to hear what everybody else has to say.
Thank you, Pat, for bringing that forward. The questions are there for all of us. Go ahead, Virginia.
I was thinking when both of you were talking, I was thinking about an instance in my life when it was interesting. I don't know why I came up with it and why it came to me now, but I'm going to share it with you because it did. One time my husband worked nights, and I was alone in the house with my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old, and I was I don't know, I got this feeling of ghouls around for some reason, like evil spirits or something were in the house. And I don't know why I felt that way, but I was kind of afraid. And it was interesting as I examined what happened now. I knew that if I had my boy Jeff with me, I could hug him. And I knew that my love for Jeff would protect me. And at the time, it really worked. He came along, he wasn't afraid of anything. And I hugged him. And as I hugged him, all of the fear went away. And I wasn't worried about my boys being affected. I knew it was something inside me, but it was like my love for them would save me, and the boys were already safe, I thought. But as I reflect on it now, I think that's what that internal thing is. it's like, and we do find strength when there isn't any left, when we're doing something for our children or people that we love, that we just um, would give our soul to protect them. And there's something about that feeling that comes out of me. It's what was generated out of me that was my strength and my protection. And I believe it was the divine within that I was calling when I asked my son to come over and give me a hug. So anyway, that's what I was feeling. Um, I think that intention is a big part of it, but also it has to come from within. It's like my intention was to feel that love, and that's what gave me strength at the time. And I just thought it was such an odd way to get strength that I would share it with you. So that's all I had to say.
I really liked it, Pat, during the meditation when after, of course, Sandy mentioned strength, and you said the love of God enfolds us and see it swirling. Wow, that was very powerful for me. And I saw strength in something from Psalms 23, where your rod and your staff will comfort you. Then I saw the caduceus, is that what you call it? The medical thing? And it's like our rod is our spine, the seat of the strength. And somehow, Sandy, I think it has something to do with our soul and something. I'm getting something that I don't quite understand, but it was very powerful in that meditation. And I like the fact that you mentioned that the prayer of protection was developed for the soldiers, because even in the presence of war, God is there also. And the spirit of life in all those troops is there also. So thank you, Pat. I really like that you brought that up like that.
Talking about the Carolyn's talk that chaos, uh, through chaos, we tend to lose strength. And I'm uh, I'm very familiar with chaos. I think I'm a magnet for chaos from my earliest memories. I was probably born in chaos, so it's a very familiar feeling. And to me, um, growing up with it, number one, you immediately recognize it. You have a hopeless feeling, and yes, I can say that you do feel your strength kind of uh, going weak. And so in life, I, at a very early age, said, okay, this is chaos. What are we going to do? And my solution has always been focus. What's the number one priorities that are going on now? And once I glam on, pick a number one and then do something. It's time for action. And by taking action, for me, I find my strength comes back almost immediately. Now I have a purpose once I start action. But I've noticed people in life, when chaos comes along, they kind of say, well, I guess we have chaos now. I guess we'll feel helpless for a while. And um, that's one thing that I never was able to dwell on very long. To me, it's take action and move.
I'm not sure people decide to feel helpless. They try to feel some sense of power by doing something, do anything.
Well, I guess the opposite is going into self-pity mode. And the joke is self-pity is a terminal illness.
When you were speaking, Virginia, um, it was funny because I was referred right back to some more of this channeled message that came through last night. because when you were talking about this love being a source of your strength and in courage, and when I left off, I said, so it is of great importance to look after yourselves first and foremost in order to have the continued strength to serve others who shall be very much in need of your knowledge and your love. And Blossom asked the question, when you say knowledge, what do you mean? And the answer is knowledge of love, knowledge of how to be oneself in love, knowledge of knowing love within the self. For we say to you, and each blossom and each one that resides upon your planet at this time, it is love and only love that will see you through. To be able to assist others in understanding that they are of the divine. And so I think it's for you have come to know love, and your knowingness of this love of who you are has changed you. I just thought it was really interesting that you brought up that example, and it just resonated with the rest of this message. Really, that's the source of all of the powers, really comes from that divine love.
Well, Dan talks about how he deals with chaos. I have a tendency, it's interesting that you bring that up, Pat, because I have a tendency, if things get too confusing and crazy, I have to watch freezing and not doing anything. But ultimately, when I come to, I have to find something that makes sense and then start doing it. How can I get order out of all of this? Do something simple. And I think what I'm going to do in the center of chaos is just take a moment and pause. If I were to really go within, I don't think I would freeze as much. It's my response to what's happening without instead of getting an answer within. So that's another good point. Thanks.
I think it's like remembering our identity, our divinity. And
Yeah.
some of the nonsense going on out there is really not that important, but we get so involved with it.
Yes.
Got to fix it.
Yeah. And life has a way of working itself out anyway, without me thinking that I have to create the master plan.
Yeah, like that's okay, God, but listen to my plan.
And going back to what you said, Sandy, about us, we're already I don't know, prepared, aware, something that you said from that message.
Mhm.
I felt that really strongly for over a year, that it's just important. And it doesn't have to be a big deal that I do. Like possibly just make a person feel welcome, give a smile to somebody in the gas station when I get gas, thank them. It just doesn't have to be a big deal, but it's important to keep it going.
You know, Pat, I mean, that is so, my mind is trying to wrap around the word of strength. The word that came to me first was to endure. And I thought, that doesn't sound right. But that's the word that came to me. When someone is working out, give me the strength to endure this pain. At first, it's hard as you are, your muscles hurt and whatever. What comes to my mind is strength is give me the strength not to fall and stay into the fear mode. In other words, give me the strength to have courage that things will, give me strength to have faith that things will get better. Give me strength. In other words, don't let me give up. And I think that's what the word endure, was coming to my mind, to not give up. Give me the strength to hang in there. Give me the strength from going into the victim mode. Give me this. I mean, I've been thinking about that really, really since you've been, since you've talked to us about it. But I think it's chaos. That makes sense. Give us the courage. Give me the courage not to feel helpless, that I can't do anything, which makes me feel disempowered. It's endurance. I guess that's what for me, it might not work with somebody else, but for me, the word is endurance. Give me the strength to hang in there and not give up. That's it. Thank you.
Belle, I just passing this along as I'm listening to you and wondering, is there a way that we can change that to an affirmation rather than a request? And the reason I say that, and if I go back to Charles Fillmore's work on this, the affirmation is, I have the strength. Knowing that that strength is within you. And it isn't give me the strength, because when we think the words give me the strength, it's like we're asking for an external force. And so it occurs to me, reiterate the idea that I already have the strength. Bring it to the surface from within, rather than asking for strength from any external source. It's just a thought as I'm listening to you.
No, that's true, Sandy. That's true. And I think when things aren't chaotic, you automatically will go to that, like, okay, calm down, it's go within yourself, do all this stuff. But when I'm going through a chaos, fear, chaos creates fear. That's what I meant for when I need to say, give me the strength to not run or not give up. But yes, I totally agree with you. The affirmation would be, I have the strength. And I suppose the more one says it, they won't experience chaos. You won't even have to say, give me the strength, but you have it. But it's getting there. I mean, it's being there and accepting it automatically, where you are in that mode. Do you follow? So I guess I'm still at the beginning stages where I have to change my habit of thinking, the other way, as opposed to remembering that it's always within me. But you are so right.
We all are, Bill. We are all in that beginning stage. That's why we remind one another.
Yeah.
That's part of this kind of discussion.
And thank you. Thank
remember
you.
it, all
I'll
of
have to have
us.
it stamped on my forehead so I can remember.
If you have it stamped on your forehead, then you're reminding us too.
Oh, that's a good point.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think of strength as protection for some reason. It's like the last couple of weeks I realized I went and told Bella yes I would speak, and then I wanted to regret it. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna put myself out here and everybody's gonna know that I don't know what I'm talking about. But that kind of that fear, that fear of, oh dear, I would rather hide.
That reminds me of something I just read this morning on Instagram, and it's this person I follow, but what she said is deal with things as they come, not as you fear. And that means a lot to me. That's so big. Deal with things as they come, not as you fear. And I think that's where strength comes in. I have the strength. I mean, it just kind of dovetails with all of this. I don't have to control things. I don't have to prepare and control things ahead of time, would be responding to my fear, but instead to believe I have the strength, and that strength will come forth just when I need it. Like Sandy was saying through that channel, deal with things as they come. That strength will be there just to the exact measure that I need it, as that thing which comes up that I need to deal with. I don't have to do anything ahead of time. I don't have to put myself in chaos and leak my power, and then I'm not really able to deal with the things then as they do come.
Well, I'd like to offer a little different spin on my affirmation would be I have great gratitude for my strength, and I'm very thankful. When chaos comes, I'll welcome it as a process through strength. I will come out with new solutions, new ideas. Thank you.
Pat, I'm glad you spoke this morning. You did a lovely job. And I'm thinking about the military situation. I'm thinking of being grounded in God's love and presence keeps us as safe as if we were inside of a tank. I'm also thinking that the thought that just keeps running through my mind is standing strong can be something that is quiet. I have often been in disagreement with certain policies and things that are happening in the world, and that I don't have to be like a noisy gong about it. I can hold my presence and my thoughts quietly without having to use a loudspeaker to tell everyone what I think, and know that I'm still going to be okay. And that whatever strength I can offer would hopefully be a source of comfort to those people that I interact with on a daily basis.
I'm Mark. I wasn't going to speak today, but I'm going to speak. I heard the word uncertainty, and I have a lot of uncertainty in my life, and that there's a power that I lose because of uncertainty. And really, what is uncertainty? Well, I think it's fear, a level of fear. Last night, I heard something. I heard to leverage off life, to let life bring to you what you want. You need not be uncertain because life knows what you want. And it was almost as if to say, be still and do nothing. And it reminds me of the tank. You know, we're protected right here in that armor of stillness. I need do nothing. What will happen will appear in front of me, and then I'll know what to do when it does. Either get out of the way or move or participate in some way. So life knows what everyone wants. Be still for a while and let it happen. And so that's what I did last night. I was still for quite a long while. And I got another insight of a source of a fear that I've been carrying for a long time. And that fear was from childhood. And I'm still carrying that fear, but now at least I have a better understanding. And I think understanding in itself is a form of strength because it undoes fear. It's kind of like being fear of the darkness. And when you turn on the light of understanding, then you can see what's around you and then make sense of it intellectually and in other ways. And that takes away the fear. So that's what I wanted to share. Thanks.
Coming back to the concepts of chaos and strength, it seems to me that strength is the first reaction to chaos because it allows us to protect that which we find important in ourselves against that chaos. But then it seems, but again, like that tank, it doesn't have to do anything. It just is. And so it seemed to me like, and then comments were made of not letting the chaos dictate your actions, both from Teresa and from the Chinese Christian military story. And it got me thinking, like, well, then what would create the action? And it seems to me that, again, it comes back then to both powers of faith and hope that gives us then a purpose and a direction and kind of a transcendence to the chaos that is around us. The strength is able to withstand it. Um, but having that faith and hope to guide us then in the direction that we really do need to go. For myself, I've been beleaguered and befuddled by this small bird that's been sitting outside my window. And I saw it about maybe 10 days ago and didn't really think anything of it. And then, or thought I'm like, oh, I'm seeing things. And I didn't really see that bird very clearly. And then it came in a flock of birds, 10 or 12, just outside my house. Robins, something that I clearly associate with springtime, and not seeing in the winter at all. And here they were day after day, making themselves known in my neighborhood and around my house. And I thought, this is, really bizarre, and I'm trying to find a scientific answer, and climate change and all this sort of stuff. But I'm realizing as well that someone offered just a very simple solution. There's probably someone who's feeding them, and so they decided that they didn't need to leave. Okay, that's very simple in itself. But the fact that they keep sort of quote unquote swarming around my house makes me think that I think they're trying to give me the message of that hope of spring, which is, to me, the robin is a sign of spring. So having that hope with the sighting of that robin makes me feel centered and a little bit fortified, whatever chaos that is. Because I feel that that's what I have to offer.
Serendipitousness of things that appear to us that give us, strength sometimes. And we take them as signs. But I think when we put out the call for that strength, immediately your inner divine power answers. And we are encouraged the more we see, the response of that. So I guess that was really neat. I have some birds attending me too, and I had eastern bluebirds at my place, and I'd never seen them before, and it made me think of my husband that has passed. It was interesting.
David, to me, your sign of robins or something about hope.
Well, it's interesting because that word hope has always been giving me mixed feelings because I don't know, I heard it somewhere talking about like hope is more wishful thinking. So it's like it was given a sort of a negative connotation. But I like in this context, I can use that word because I do like the word. And I guess it's because there is something about it. Intuitively, I knew something about it, but I think in this context is giving me that answer about it, and that's that there's strength, there's like the higher vibration, it's like the tank or the God energy is present. So it's like that hope and faith kind of going together, like faith that it's there, but also like that joy in and having that knowingness and that presence and that place to tap into, results in a hopefulness, but more based on a higher frequency thing, not a like a wishful thinking. I don't want to deal with what's happening now, so I'll just have these fantasies. It's more of a grounded kind of hope. So, yeah, thank you.
For some reason, I'm thinking of connecting strength with presence. It's like if I'm in a situation right now that I'm concerned I don't have enough strength, it's not right now that's the problem. It's not the present. It's like, but how much longer is it going to last? What if it gets worse? You move out of the present.
But you want to be able to stay there and not run, so to speak, not give up. And so hope, well, not hope, faith. Because I was strength, you can't have strength without, I don't think, power, because strength and power are one of the same. Well, they're all one of the, they all, like you say, intermingle with each other. But if you have strength, you automatically, I think, are getting power that will help you go through what you think you're afraid of. And you're right, you and Teresa said the same thing. If you deal with things in the present, you're not bringing your baggage from the past that you would need strength. I got to think about this, but thank you.
I'm not exactly sure what I want to say here, but staying in the present has always been difficult for me. And what's been even more difficult in the last almost year now is feeling the presence of the divine. And I do get glimmers, I get moments, I get times, but then it goes when my brain starts going, and it's, my issue isn't the past, it's projecting negativity into the future. So I guess I just need to keep praying and say, okay, help. And I don't know how to keep my brain still, so, or to keep it positive even, I try to go back to it, but it works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't work. I've been having a difficulty feeling that connection, and I think if I were to always feel the connection of spirit, it'd be okay, but it just kind of comes and goes.
Practice makes progress.
Yeah, I was just thinking that for me, when Teresa was talking about hope, hope is a turning point for me. It's like coming out of fear or worry or that kind of thing. When I start focusing my attention on hope, that there is an answer, it's out there. I know I'm going to find it. That's how I look at the word hope. And I think when I get to the point of knowing that it's there, when that hope switches into knowing there is an answer. It starts out with hope and then goes into, I know there's an answer. I just know there is. Then I'm too, I'm of a projector into the future. I'm always looking into the future rather than the past. If I can look with a knowing, I think that knowingness, I think in my story of my love for my children, it was that I knew that my love would protect me. I just knew it. And so it was when I got from that place of hopefulness to knowing, then I am feeling it. But we always have those little blippies that come in with fear, but they get fewer and fewer, I think, as we practice that feeling of knowingness. It is all about the feeling. I mean, you can switch your mind, you can try and think and focus on different things that are more hopeful, and then you get that contact. But the feeling of the contact, with your higher power in your heart. That's the goal. That's what we're looking for. And it's in our physical reality, we depend so much on things outside ourselves, we kind of forget to look for that strength that's in us. And when we do, if we can just get to the point we start looking for that, I think we can overcome anything that comes down the pike, you know?
One more thing I had to say about chaos is that what I've learned, and I forgot this, is that when chaos comes up, it's certain that something new is about to emerge. So chaos has something to do with breakdown and reformation, reforming. And that's where I go, oh, a new breakthrough is just about ready to get here. And it turns it around really positive for me when I get in that place.
Well, you might say that for the phoenix to appear, there has to be chaos and a complete wreckage and time for something new to come about.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's like you have to be, it's like the mud, and you gotta, if you're gonna grow more of the lotus leaf or flower, you have to spend some time in the mud. Yeah, but I wanted to say something about the hope. Thanks, Virginia, for that more positive connotation to hope, as far as that there's an answer. And then it reminded me also, and this might speak to Carol a little, is something I heard once, that basically everybody's main insecurity is that they're not enough. So I'm thinking, you know, also with the strength and hope and everything we're talking about, this idea of I am enough, you know, and to be present, to not have to worry about the future or you know, whatever is, or dealing with fears. I am enough, you know, just saying that mantra 20 times a day would be very helpful.
I don't remember who brought up Carolyn Mace, but thank you for that reminder, because I've read a lot of her books and I really like her, but I haven't watched any of her content lately. And I'm interested in knowing more about Blossom Goodchild. I never heard of that person before.
Blossom Goodchild is a channel who lives in Australia. And it would be very simple. Just Google Blossom Goodchild. It's a very straightforward. There's nothing tricky about spelling of her name or anything. It's just Blossom Goodchild. And she does weekly channelings and a number of other things. You can just find her website. And I just find her very uplifting and very funny. She's amusing. So, as well as spiritually uplifting.
Thank you, Sandra.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you, Pat, for your courage of stepping forth. And I had the same experience. I felt all inspired to help. And then a day later, I thought, oh, what was I thinking? So I'm very grateful, Pat, because that was great. I've learned a lot and received a lot, and it's going to give me a lot to work with this week. So I appreciate it.
Pat, that's so true, Pat and Luann. That strength comes in. And the strength, you know, it may not be that um, it's what it calls forth. Sometimes what is being said just needs to be said. And if the words come to your mouth, maybe you ought to say them. And even if they aren't beautiful and you know, like a operetta or poetic, they bring forth the questions that our inner selves need answering. And all of our contributions are are what make this complete. Makes us dig deep in ourselves for answers. So I'm appreciative for you offering yourselves to bring that to.
In closing, I want to thank everyone. Pat, thank you for that wonderful topic, and thank you for the strength to speak today. And thank you for everyone for participating. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever I am, God is. I am divine. And that's the truth. Thank you, everyone. And let's just take this moment to say goodbye and to check in, and feel free to unmute yourselves.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, David. Thank you, Mark. Oh boy, does this mean a lot to me. It just is such a springboard to my week. I just love you guys and thank you for all your comments.
Thank
Same
you,
here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Loved it all.